Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another stream. If someone is kind enough to tell me on the chat that you guys can see me well and the microphone quality is okay, we did some changes from the last time we did a live stream. Apparently, due to huge demand, we decided to do another one. Although I think I had time to organize it better. My name is Gus, and I run three groups about A8 and S8s. And what we practically do with these groups is that we accept members that are owners of these cars, and we try to help them with common issues that these cars have. In general, after the first, maybe I would say the second year, you get the same questions over and over again. So now with the COVID situation, we thought we're home, so let's like put a face on it and do these live streams. I think it helps with communication with all of you. Know who runs the pages and what our goal is. Of course, there is a team of admin and moderators that are helping me as well. We get a lot of member requests every day that we have to deny because we want to keep a good level across our community. We usually get people that do not own these vehicles, or they will not own these vehicles at all, or just minors, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. So we're trying to filter as much as we can in order to have a good quality membership. The groups I'm talking about and that we're taking part today is the Audi A8 S8 owners, the Audi A8 owners club, the modified Audi and S8 D4 model owners, which is more for the D4 platform, and the 4.0T Performance and Tech Discussion group that are also the S8, A8s, and also RS6, RS7, S6, and S7 that all carry the same platform. In general, we have come to the point that we say that all these vehicles, they have kind of the same issues. So I think if you have an RS6, this might interest you as well, or an RS7. It's the same platform. The engines and the gearbox are the same, except on the S6 and the S7. They have DSG gearboxes, but all the electronics and issues are the same. The MMI issues are the same, air suspension. So it's nice that we discussed with the admins of the rest of the groups, and we said let's do this as a whole. The previous live that we did, we used Facebook Live, and we were able only to stream in one platform, one group of us, because Facebook does not allow cross streaming. So that's why we chose YouTube now, in order to be able to paste the link to all the groups and get them all on board. For those that are not aware that we are a part of many groups, I suggest you to join all the rest of the groups that I mentioned. I will provide you the links on our pages so you can all join, because the members, some are on our group, some on the other groups, and it's great knowledge base. I'm running all these pages and I see things that I have never seen on any other page, and that might be helpful for you to solve issues with your car. But in general, I think the community around these cars and the knowledge by now is very accurate. All these cars have shown their common issues. Also, a lot of forums around these cars, the Audi World forums, which we are not related by anyway, but still great knowledge. If you guys look for stuff, you can always use them. But today I have in mind to repeat the common issues that we had on the previous chat, but I'm gonna repeat them again on this one so everybody can get on board. I also have prepared something more special. I invited some professionals to join us and talk about our vehicles. The professionals that are gonna talk today, they're gonna go live soon. I hope it's gonna work with the stream and the whole stress on the internet during Sundays. As you are well aware, internet is on stress, so let's hope that it's gonna work good for us. I'm happy that I see people on the chat. I think there is a bit of delay from what I say to what you guys get. That is fine. I welcome you all. Thank you for joining. So let me know if everybody's okay with quality, audio, like that everything is good. I tested the settings before, but it's always better to, yeah, great. I'm not quite sure if YouTube allows people without accounts to text and join us on the live chat, but I guess most of you have Gmail accounts and whatever else, so you can join on the live chat. Let me see. Let me see. For people that are, well, I would like all to, on the side, like now with COVID and all these things going on, I wish you guys are all strong and your families. Stay safe, stay home, of course. I am based in the Netherlands, but for us, they say that the worst is gone, but just best wishes to everyone, all of you, and work on your cars, stay home, get a VCDS, OBD11, scan your cars, you're gonna see that they require time from you. And yeah, the WhatsApp group as well. But at this point, I would like to start with very, let me get that. I would like to start with a product that I purchased myself and I'm in no way affiliated with. I just the product I will be talking about, it's called DS1 from Dyno Spectrum, and I was amazed by it, and I felt like reaching out to their community and to its founders, and they were nice enough that they said they would love to join our chat today and talk about their product and how they created it. It's a really great honor because I hope you guys will like it as well. The product I'm talking about is this. It's a dongle that can remote tune your car. That's what it is. But you're gonna hear it from the guys who made this. And let me see if I can get them on. I would like to introduce you to John and Michelle. And let's see if this will work. We're using OBS for this call. Let me see if I can get it on. Man, I'm like really bad at this. Let's see.
John, you look so fancy.
Okay, I have...
I'm just sitting in my dining room, Mitch.
Can you guys hear me? Good afternoon. Oh man, let me get it on.
I've muted my PC so I can't hear Gas on the YouTube.
I can't either. Yeah.
There we go, I got you both on screen. Man, I'm really bad at this. I think I have you both on screen now. So with me joining right now is John Banks on my right. My right, maybe for you guys it's left. And Michelle on my left or right. Doesn't matter. Um, and they're the guys that are the founders of Dyno Spectrum, right, guys?
That's us, but I think we have quite a delay on this stream.
Do we have a delay, guys?
Yeah, John's video looks a little delayed. I can't see him moving.
Let me see. Can you guys hear them on the live chat? You should be able to get audio from them. Guys, can you like talk and see? Oops.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
We lost John Banks.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Lost your video, I think.
Yeah,
lost
it's got my audio.
Ooh, let me. Oh man. Can hear but echoing. Okay, let me get back the windows. There we go.
Which one is who's echoing?
John, can you get your camera back online?
Are you guys there?
John, can you get your camera back online?
I can try. There we go.
There you are. I will mute myself because apparently it's echoing, and I will give the microphone to you guys.
Okay. Am I coming through without a huge delay?
Yeah. I still don't see you though. Oh, I guess I don't see you on Skype anyways. But I can hear you fine.
Cool.
You guys can start and talk about the product and the company. Take it up from here.
Okay, shall I start, Mitch?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm John. I'm an Englishman. I live in Scotland. I'm 45 years old. I started the idea for some of the stuff that ended up in Dyno Spectrum about 3.5 years ago. Developed a lot of the technologies that have gone into it over that time. And then about 2 years ago, came across Mitch as a contact through where we both worked before at Cobb Tuning. And he's a real kick-ass tuner with lots of records all over the place, and also a reverse engineer himself. And we teamed up to try and make this product, and it grew arms and legs over time to what some of you have now experienced, which is a really fast OBD flasher in a tiny wireless dongle with lots of unique features in it.
Yeah, and I'm Mitch McKee. I was started off a long time ago as an engine calibrator. I moved into reverse engineering at Cobb Tuning when I was there. I worked there for about 8 years. I met up with John through a colleague of ours. John had started to work on some of this technology, and I thought it was really innovative, and I was getting kind of burnt out doing what I was doing. So I reached out to him, and we just started basically working on it since then. We've basically been working on it nonstop for the past however many years. It's been a lot of time and energy to get it going, and John never stops working. So, how do we work normal schedules? We'd still be developing. But yeah, it's been really great. And, we appreciate everybody's feedback and the support we've gotten from the community. It's been, really, really great for us as we were unsure how it was going to be received, especially just a couple of guys that that some people may know, may not know, but to come out against some really big companies and things like that, it was a little intimidating. So, we really want to say thank you to you guys for all the support that we've got, and we'll we'll continue to innovate and keep pushing what the cars can do.
Can you guys hear me now without echo?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you guys started this product against companies like APR, MTM, and all the big ones that were on the tuning scene for like many years. And why your product innovated and they couldn't do what you guys did with just remote tuning? Is it something they will never went for?
I think that part of that is a lot of their business models. A lot of the business models of a lot of those companies have been that way for a long time, where it's dealers are established and those dealers flash just a base file on. You kind of get this. It's kind of always been this, one flash fits all type mentality, and it's not to say that a lot of these big companies couldn't do that, because they very well could. I mean, Cobb did exactly the opposite. But we, kind of having known the metrics of both sides of it, between, kind of a company where it's a, do-it-yourself at home model versus something like, a big guy like APR where it's a go to a dealer and flash. We found that it's a lot easier for the end user to be able to do it themselves. And they get actually a bit, you seem to get a bit more, it's a lot more fun to do it yourself because, you've kind of got a bit more control. You can see what's going on. It's kind of, especially for car guys, it's interesting to do that stuff. And the nice thing is it's a lot more convenient to do it in your garage as opposed to, if you're in the middle of nowhere, like John is, it's sometimes it's hard for guys to get to a dealer of some of these software companies. You've got to drive a long distance, and if a car has an issue or a problem, that may not be advised. So, we decided to go this route for a couple reasons, and it's still, I would say the biggest thing about our product that is probably the least talked about is the real-time tuning. There's so many things that our product can do, and really what the biggest innovation that John had created when he first was talking about this was the real-time tuning. And for a lot of people that you don't really understand it if you don't tune cars, but what the DS1 can do, it does map switching, it does a lot of really cool things, it has a lot of great features, but real-time tuning really is, I mean, in my opinion, probably the most innovative thing that's been done in an aftermarket stock ECU solution to date. And that's really what pulled me away from my full-time job and everything else, was because I saw what John had been doing and really how innovative it was. And I think that, it really is, I mean, it truthfully is, it's amazing to use because we can do, previously at our other employer, we did some real-time tuning, but it was, we could do 10 tables at once. But when you're on a dyno tuning a car, the ability to tune the entire ECU without ever having to stop and reflash the car, it makes life just so much simpler. And it just makes the product so much more dynamic because instead of waiting to make changes, flashing, sitting, waiting, you can make instant changes. Your calibrations get a lot more refined because you've got that just a level of granularity that we've never really had in stock ECUs before. So that really is to me like the most groundbreaking part of this. But it took John a long time and kind of getting the data logger and everything else kind of together all into one package. It was a ton of work. It's pretty incredible.
So to get this like out to people, this is a solution that you get it to your home, you plug it to your car, you flash your car on your own, and you also log your car on your own, and then you guys can see that data and improve on that ECU tune, right? That's what we're talking about. For those
Yeah.
for like,
Yeah.
I have no idea about tuning. Normally, when you tune a car, you go to a dealership garage and they put a base map or something that they put in most vehicles, and that's what they give you your car back after 3-4 hours, and that's it. With this, not only you can customize your tune to your car because not every engine is the same, right, guys? You can
Right.
also monitor your car with professional tools that normally you would pay probably more than 10,000 euros to get the suites like that, to be able to log your car, to be able to see what the car is doing at all RPMs, at all ranges. But you can do that with this simple device.
Correct. Yeah, and it's nice, and it kind of goes to show the one flash fits all. Sometimes, you guys will probably have seen it, or the guys that are in the Facebook chat or the Facebook group, the Dyno Spectrum group, is that you'll see that we could have three of the same RS7s or S6s or whatever, three with the same identical modifications, same fuel, same everything. One car will knock more than the other two, and that's where we try to get away from the one flash fits all kind of mentality, because one flash doesn't really fit all, because the cars really can be, car to car can be different. Sometimes they're referred to Monday and Friday cars, where one makes more. I mean, and we see it on the dyno all the time. I mean, it's the same thing where one car can make more power and one car makes less, and there's not really any real reason for it other than just the car itself. Maybe one's better maintained, maybe one has more compressed. I mean, there's a million variables, but yeah, it makes it nice for really developing good, solid, safe calibrations that can be on a bunch of different cars.
How easy would it be to like? I know you guys support the 4.0 twin turbo platform. How is it to support a different engine? Is it something that takes research of years, months?
Presently, I'm working on that.
Yeah, I'll let
We're
John talk.
working on adding RS3 and TTRS Dazzler engine at the moment, the 2.5 litre. It's a very interesting engine. People tune those things quite crazily. There's quite a lot of them over 1,000 horsepower. So we are adding that, and it's quite similar in a lot of ways to the 4 litre. We started with the 4 litre actually because I had one. I certainly enjoy my S8 very much. I've had it for many years. I love its combination of luxury and performance, and it was also a really complicated ECU compared with anything we've done before. And so we thought we'd start with the hardest one and show what we could do. And partly the real-time tuning on a scale that nothing else does was something we really wanted to do. When I also then got into doing flex fuel, the traditional way of doing that is to hook in a flex fuel sensor into something like a rear O2 sensor input that you're not using. But that sacrifices emissions equipment, and it doesn't work on every vehicle. And initially, I was developing this on a BMW, but that didn't see the light of day and ended up moving over to the Audi platform, And we put the flex fuel content in through the DS1 through the CAN bus, which was a huge amount of engineering work. But now we can do that for many Bosch ECUs, and I think you'll expect us to do that across a lot of MED17 type ECUs in the near future. The knock-on of that, because this project grew arms and legs, was that I had to make a device to put it in through the CAN bus, and that ended up being the DS1, which originally wasn't going to be a flasher, and then it ended up being one. And then when we did that, we thought, well, why not make it the fastest, the smallest, the most powerful, make it wireless, but also mean that it's not like any other wireless interface where you can turn the device off like the phone or the computer that started the flash, and the flash will still complete because the DS1's doing it itself. So we wanted to also make the best device we could with the best software in it as well. The data logging was also a very important thing for us, because typical data logging on the 4 litre is absolutely terrible. anyone that's tried to log using common packages will see, maybe 5 samples a second with 8 items. And you can do a pull and just see, a handful of samples that really don't tell you what your engine's doing. You can miss a load of knock, you can miss overboost, you can miss misfires, lean spots, rich spots. So along with the real-time tuning, I spent the last couple of years developing all the protocols so that we could log at very high speed. And we literally pushed through 20 times as much information at also 20 times faster than a lot of the competition. And so our data logging isn't something you can buy from anywhere else at any price. So even the pro tuners don't have anything like this. And in fact, I think we stretched some credibility early on because a lot of pro tuners really didn't believe a lot of what we are actually doing is possible. But I think we've proven a lot of them wrong and brought some of them on board to join us. And it's now their tool of choice to do all their custom tuning. So we're proud with what we've achieved in just a few months of being released.
In general, when you talk with the customers, does someone who has completely no idea about tuning and about this get the procedure on how things are done? How much support does someone who is irrelevant with it need to get the product right?
I would say 95% of people just flash this themselves using the instructions. A couple of percent contact us with a query or a question, usually about Wi-Fi or something like that. Usually a simple query. I think we've probably phoned up about 2 people out of more than 200 to talk them through how to do this. So most people do it, and then afterwards they say, well, yeah, it took me 15 minutes. The actual procedure took 5, but I needed a bit of help. I took my time, I read the instructions, and all was good.
And when did it come the decision that you guys let tuners take your platform and from your base map, then take that and take your logs and then tune individually cars? Was it like something that was always on the plan, that we're gonna sell the platform and then you can the user can like choose a tuner and that tuner can take advantage of the platform? Was it always from the beginning?
We not necessarily. We were always going to have it an end tuner suite, but at first we weren't going to unlock the OTS maps. John and I had talked at a pretty great length about it actually, and after it was actually not until we were pretty close to releasing that we decided that it would probably be better for us to just unlock the OTS maps. I think there's a bit more of transparency there in what we're actually doing, and that people, John and I haven't been tuning the 4-liter engines for a long time, and there's guys like, like Venci that some of you may know that, he has a lot of experience, and, us being able to allow other people to see what we're doing, it's good because it helped us to grow the product a lot faster, as opposed to us trying to figure some of these little nuances out. But no, it wasn't originally going to be unlocked OTS maps. And honestly, we kind of just look at it like the maps are kind of just, they work very well. And at the end of the day, though, it really, that IP, they could take it, but we want them to build on it, or if they just want to use their own stuff, they're open to do that as well. So it kind of it gives tuners a good starting point, especially if they're new to the platform, or if they're very well versed in the platform, they can just upload their own files and start with our stuff and move forward. So we kind of went that route, and it's worked really well so far.
And how many units you guys when you started? You said maybe we'll sell 5,000 units, or did it blew up and you guys did not expect that to happen?
We sold what we thought we would sell in a year in a month, and we've had a lot more sales than we had expected because we thought the 4-liter we knew it was a popular platform, but we didn't know what impact all these sort of features would make. And clearly it's thanks to all our customers that there was a lot of unmet need for quality tuning and customizations on this platform. So we made plenty of devices, and we're now making our second batch, and we planned well before COVID to get stocks of things from China. So we've never gone out of stock for more than a day so far, but you guys are certainly trying to put us out of stock, which we really appreciate.
Like the quality of the product is great. Like even like when I like unpacked it, and I have the package here because I liked it so much. Like the packaging and the whole thing, it's like you have a quality product on your hands. It's like something unique.
Yeah, that was a big part of it when we were talking about it, was that, those boxes that you guys get, those boxes were really expensive. But it kind of went to, we wanted people to basically open a package that, we didn't want to put a dongle into,
A bag.
a manila envelope and sell it. We wanted it to feel like when you opened it, you're like, well, yeah, there's a lot of time that went into every single point of this, from the second you touch it to the second it's in your car. So we felt that packaging and presentation was just as important as everything else that the time and the effort that we put into making the device itself.
There's a couple of questions in the chat that I might quickly address. Alex asks, how did I transition from being a doctor to an ECU reverse engineer? It seems a pretty unusual career path. It was actually the other way around. I was probably always the electronics geek. I started in the 1980s with electronics kits and 8-bit home computers. Ended up programming them in assembly, and really it was influence from parents and teachers that pushed me into medicine. And I really spent the 90s just not taking any of my electronics or programming passion any further during that time. Then once I qualified as a doctor in 98, saved a little bit of money. I discovered cars quite late. Got a Subaru Impreza Turbo, or WRX, the last of the GC8 model. And before any ECU tuning was really available for that, started playing with boost control devices, made my own electronic boost controller using microcontrollers, and found that despite the 10-year gap, I could pick up a microcontroller in 2000, 2001, and it was like the Amiga I'd been playing with in the late 80s. So I'd missed the dot-com boom, I'd missed the career in IT, I'd missed a million with it, but I found that all of that gap with all of the internet and networking, it just passed me by because I just picked it up in engine computers instead. Then Ecotech formed in 2002, and I was really interested in tuning ECUs, so I asked them if I could have the software to pose my own car, and they said, no, you'll have to take it commercially. So I really wanted it, so I went down to see them, had some training with them, and I ended up starting a tuning company and tuned a couple of hundred Subaru Imprezas. I had some fun with that until they got quite old and the owners started to turn up with bald tires and badly maintained cars and so on. And in that time, I got more busy with medicine. So I gave it a rest for a couple of years commercially. Then I picked up an Evo 9 in 2006, and that's when I started the reverse engineering, hence my YouTube screen name, Evo Realtime, because I started writing real-time tuning in open source projects for the Evo and discovering all kinds of stuff. And then in 2009, I got a GTR, bought cob tuning products, but it really didn't work very well because it wasn't finished. So I contacted Trey Cobb and offered to fix it for him, which was maybe a bit arrogant, but it had the same processor on it that the Evo had. So he took a chance and said, yeah, go on then. And we did that for Cobb and improved that product. That all funneled into, well, let's do it on some German ECUs. And that's where I ended up doing all the prep work for Dyno Spectrum. So yeah, in summary, I never really intended to be a doctor, never really wanted to be a doctor. I did it for 20 years, but whilst the ECU stuff, it was a hobby and then turned into multiple businesses. I've pretty much been full-time at this stuff, the engineering stuff, for 20 years in parallel with a career in medicine.
Damn, that's a 180-degree turn, I would say.
Maybe. I really just got the confidence in the end to do what I really wanted to do. Started making my own decisions in my 40s to have a go at a second career. No regrets at all.
Okay, and what are the future plans for you guys? Like, where does this go? Like, you guys now are like pretty famous, like you're pretty up there, and where does the DS platform go from now? Like, you're gonna keep adding features or new engines? What is the plan for the future?
New engine, same features, I would say. I don't know what you think, Mitch.
Yeah, I think we'll just keep iterating on it to different platforms. We've discussed a few things of where we go in the future. It's kind of hard to say. We've got a lot of options, fortunately for us, in terms of what cars we can work on. A lot of our technology can carry over to a lot of different platforms. So, now that we kind of have the base done in terms of, the development, firmware, all the back end stuff like the server stuff, we can iterate a bit faster. So that's where kind of John had mentioned that we started on the RS3. Now, we can, whereas the 4-liter stuff to get everything ready and done, it took us years. Now we can iterate on products. Hopefully, usually now, I mean, the RS3 will be a good test, but hopefully in a couple of months. And we'll just continue to do that on different cars. After RS3, I'm not really sure. We'll have to sit down and really talk about that, but we'll just keep doing it on MED ECUs and, taking the same technology to potentially other platforms outside Audi. We'll just have to kind of see, but, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves either. We're still a small company. It's basically, the two of us, and then, our wives help out. And so, we just want to take it. There's a lot of things that we don't want to have happen. We don't want our support to struggle. That support to us is really, really important. It's always kind of been that way. We've always wanted to offer as much support as we possibly can. And we don't want that to change. So we need to, we look at kind of platforms, but we also look at the back end of when it's done, are we able to support this? If not, how do we go forward about doing that? And, it really is one of our biggest concerns is simply making the end customer happy with what we're making.
On that note, today, like, that was amazing what happened today. So I will explain for the rest. One customer of yours, guys, had an issue with his ECU. Apparently, it was some weird ECU that was something that you guys have seen for the first needed to solve the problem. And that for a company is a very, like, people don't do that in general. But I've seen the Facebook post, and you guys got really a lot of credit from the community for doing immediate support with sending a new ECU.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of learned this, and I've, kind of saw this when I was at Cobb. I was in charge of the Porsche platform. And what we had learned, and what I kind of started to find out, is that we kind of offered this white glove service because the product was so expensive, and just because, I don't know, and John's the same way, and that's why we do this, is because when we make a product, we put everything we have into it. So if somebody has an issue with it, it's not about money, and it's simply about, we just want somebody to be happy with our product because we've put our entire soul into it. So, and I told the customer today, normally if it weren't for the COVID thing, we wouldn't, one of us, well, me, I would get on a plane since he's in the US, but we would just fly there. And that's the same thing we do with pretty much anything now. If, like John we had a customer overseas that had some issue. I don't know if it ended up, I can't even remember it. I don't think it ended up being that big of an issue, but John was going to fly there to do it. It's just one of those things where we stand behind our product, no matter what. And, if there is an issue, especially if it's an issue on our end, we do whatever we can to make sure that, the customer is supported and happy.
I have never heard that from any company that one of the founders would fly to my house because my car is feeling under the moon. That's just amazing. Like,
well, if we mess it up, we fix it. So
Right.
we stand by what we do. And I'm not proud of a mistake, and this was a mistake on my part in the coding. There are many versions of A8 out there, and we're really proud to support the A8. And we do absolutely amazing times with or without turbos added. And so we were really, about half the ECUs are A8s, but so far every single customer with an A8 has had one ECU. And this was a new one. And I missed something, I learned from it. We keep the customer happy. A couple of other questions from the chat that I'll address at much less length than my previous answer. And I'm going to find your question. How much of the ECU code base was replaced, rewritten, or added on to by Dyno Spectrum, like wastegate, direct control, ethanol, map blending, etc.? Huge amounts. I actually, on the one hand, I make the minimal intervention I possibly can because the Bosch code is absolutely beautiful. But we have interventions all over the place in these ECUs, but we heavily use automation to try and avoid the sorts of problems that we had with that customer today. And 99.9% of the time that works great. And because of that automation, we can outmaneuver a lot of the competition that will try and make little patches to ECUs, because we can support every version with so many tables blended, switched, and altered. And today, except as an exception, get it right usually first time, and add an incredible number of features. So if you counted it by the actual number of bytes of code added, it's relatively small. But if you look at a graph across the ECU of where the interventions are, they're quite considerable. But they're tried to be written with quality in mind. Another question was, are we planning to do hard parts or something along those lines? And the answer is definitely not. It's not our interest. It's not our skill. We're absolutely delighted if we can improve ECU tuning on this and other platforms, and therefore make the hard parts work better, be developed better, sell better, and do well for other businesses. But we're going to concentrate on what we do well, which is tuning, quality, smoothness, the device itself, the support that we can offer, that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank you guys for joining. It was a great honor, to be honest. We should do that again, maybe with the DS1 community. I think it's great that you guys agreed to do this like interview thing, new things. Like, I didn't even know the story about it, but I bought it as a customer because I thought like map switching and being able to do my own thing, like see what my car does, and that was like amazing that I can do that as a user of a car. So, and now like I see how you guys support the community and what you guys do. It's very amazing because big companies don't care. I know that for sure. But you guys should keep strong like that.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I will let you go, guys, and I'll see you around. Always happy with the DS1, and yeah, I have pasted the links for everyone who is interested in, and of course their Facebook is always there. You guys are both active on your Facebook, which is also amazing. Like, I don't see people that don't get an answer you answer like immediately to them. So you guys, for our viewers, you can just check it out there. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for everything.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right.
So let me get this cleaned up. I am so bad with OBS. So I hope you guys like that. I know it was a great honor that they said yes to me to do this mini interview. you can check the DS1 product. You can check what you can do with it. For me, it was like I was looking how to tune my car, and I live in near Netherlands, so there are many options for me to go, and like I could go to APR, MTM, and all that, but I decided to go with DS1 because it was like an amazing idea what these guys did. So I really wanted to share that with you guys, and we are now affiliated with any financial, nothing like that, but I just wanted to show you that. On that note, though, I have a last minute guest. So I have a tuner, the owner of Boosted Euro. He's gonna join us and explain to us about how he uses the DS1 platform in order to customize, tune any car. His name is Mirza Murkulik. I hope I say it right. And let me see if I can get him on. Let me see. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let me see if I can get this video on.
Yeah.
Up. Give me 1 sec.
Let me get you up. Yeah, please check your video. And he's lost. Oh, there you are.
Hey.
Let me see if I can get you up here. There you are. So with me is Mr. Murkulik. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah, Mirza, but you call me Mickey. That's what everybody calls me. That's my middle name.
So Mickey, tell us how you use the DS1 platform for your job.
So I'll give you some information about myself. I am a Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche tuner. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and before that, I was in the IT. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. I did systems admin. I worked on multiple systems, implementation, all kind of fun stuff. And I hated what I did. What I hated was working for someone. So and I always had a passion in cars. And I always worked on cars ever since I was in my teens, and loved wrenching. I loved electronic side of everything. And I worked for this company. Hated working long hours. Hated having a boss. Just left there, and just someone gave me a Bosch manual to a car. I owned that car, and just went from there. So in tuning, one of the biggest things is trial and error. And what it was is I started tuning my car, then tuned a friend's car, and then it became a business. And I've been doing this for a little over 10 years. So what I do is I use commercial tools. I'll use like CMD, Alien Tech, and that's all that's available to us, to the public. There are Bosch. There's factory tools, but they're hard to get to, and if you could get them, they cost a ton of money. So when DS1 came around, I had a customer contacted me. He says, "Look, I bought this tool. I got some big turbos. Can you help me out?" And I was a little skeptical about it, because in order to tune a car, you need to have the proper tools, and it takes a long time. Even if like basic tools that most people are using for logging is like VCDS, and when you log, you only get like on like a UDS car, you can only like do like what 12 parameters, is it 12 or 6? I can't remember off the top of my head, but and then the refresh rate is so tiny. And when this guy sent me the log, I was like, holy smokes, what is this? It's like there's like 100 whatever variables inside. There's so many variables. The refresh rate was insane. So it caught my eye, and then from there, that's what been doing a lot of DS1 cars. And then I saw a lot of guys are running competitor TCU tunes, and they're having issues with slipping and clunking and gear and all kind of problems. And I've been doing this, and this is what I've been doing. So from there, once I saw what this tool is capable of, we were able to to bring a lot. This is why DS1 is successful. You can actually see what's going on. You can actually make changes. You could actually the sky is the limit, basically. So this is why I've been in the four liter groups here for the last couple of months. I've been tuning 4 liters for such a long time, and what it would take me to do, it would, like, I did an RS6 with hybrid turbos, and it took me like 200 revisions to have it sorted out with a standard logging tools, So where with DS1, I do it in like 4 or 5, and it's done. It's done. So DS1 has opened the eyes, everything. And everybody knows me in the group as, the TCU guy. We did a couple of group buys, and I probably did maybe 60 cars from the group, and then God knows how many I've done outside the group before this. So the reason why I've been doing really well with these is because I have a shop, and my shop is, I have a dyno. These cars come in, and I listen to the customers. I have the cars there. I tested the cars there, and like I said, trial and error is the biggest thing. We had these cars in there, and we just listen to the customer, and we make things happen.
So by using a DS1, not only you are able to remotely get, like, is the DS1 is able the DS1 is for sure able to give you all the data you need to tune a car no matter in the world. Like, you tuned my car and we have never met. Like, we have never seen each other. You just did it remotely, and it took you like a day to finish it up, right?
Yeah. So what happens is, what data is the most important thing, and if I can see the data, then there's no problem tuning a car. So when you logged your car, you recorded all the data that we needed, and we made the proper changes in order for that car to run efficiently. So that's the main thing. So if you have any other competitors tune, they're not going to give you these tools. They don't want you to know what's going on in the background. They don't want you to understand. They just want you to give them your money and call it a day. That's basically that's what it basically is in this business,
But that happened because people are not aware of what's going on in their cars, and because they go to a shop, they say, I want this to go faster, and that's what it matters for the customer. And then after, like, not maybe a week or 2 weeks or maybe a month or like 6 months, the car comes with problems, and then they just raise their hands, right?
It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the tune is the problem. A lot of people jump the gun. A lot of these companies spent time in development and doing, writing the software. But the thing is, even if it's not the tune related problem, it's a hardware problem in the car. This tool will allow you to figure out what's wrong with your car. I'll give you an example. Someone contacted me, says, "Oh, look, I've been running the tune for 2 months, and now my car is having these fuel cuts." And I was like, "Send me a log." He sends me a log, and one of the high pressure pumps is failing. And the only way to be able to figure this out is with data. It's the same thing the garage is going to do. If you bring it to a mechanic, he's going to use his diagnostic tool, and he's going to see what's going on. And this tool allows you to properly diagnose your car, properly have it running efficiently. There's so many advantages of having this tool. So in my eyes, this is revolutionary.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer to choose something like that, and with whatever that comes with. And how can you like keep up with like this global, like the time zones, because you have customers all over the world, and you have to be always there to support. How does that go for you?
So I have a network, basically. I have partnerships with multiple shops. I have dealers all over, and I have a silent partner. He's in the background. He does a lot of help, but I have designated specific partnerships, like specific shops that I deal with to handle certain areas. So I have someone handling, Australia, someone handling Europe, and we all work together, and it works out. It works. I wish I can clone myself. It's really hard to find someone that you can trust. I've hired people in the past, and it's hard. It's really hard. Where, I have hired people and I've had them answering emails, and it makes double the work because they don't know how to answer the question, and they have to come back to me, or they answer the question wrong, and the customer, is like, oh, how come he told me this, and so it's really hard, but it it's you just got to keep pushing. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, of course, I get that. And I already pasted your web page on the chat. If anyone is, I'll do it again. Yeah, for me it was a very easy and straightforward procedure. I got the DS1, we ran some logs, and then I sent them to you. You tuned back. It was a very easy procedure, like anyone could do it, and yeah, that was what amazed me.
Yeah. Someone asked a question, can you map gearboxes as well? That's what I do. I am working on my own tool right now. I've got some developers working. They're trying to write us a tool where it'll be specifically ours. Right now, we're using a few companies' tools because I'm trying to accommodate everybody. We've had some pretty big sales, so we're using ECU tools, we're using HP tuners, we're using CMD. So we're trying to cover everyone. We're working on our own tool. We can map gearboxes. You can, you have right now in the 4-liter group, you have the DSG. That's the DL501, DL511, and then you have the ZF8. The ZF8 is pretty much a bulletproof transmission. We haven't had any issues with them. Only issue we had is actually Gus's car. HP Tuners has given us a problem. It's not detecting his transmission in the suite, and they're just giving us this runaround. So I'm having another tool sent to him. But the DL501 has been up and down. A lot of guys are dealing with slip. A lot of guys are dealing with jerkiness and improper shifting. The bread and butter of the DL501 is to properly service it on time. Those transmissions are temperamental. You got to do the trans fluids on time. You got to make sure that it's filled the proper way. You got to make sure you don't overheat it. And the most important thing is not to slip the clutches. All it takes is one time to slip those clutches, and it's done. So what we do is what I've been doing is I've spent a lot of time invested in the DL501 with raising the clamp pressure properly, not just raising it globally and giving it to you, because that's what causes these cars are luxury cars, and just doing it the easy way, just multiplying and changing the amperage of the solenoids is going to give you high pressure, but it's going to take away that comfort, that luxury feel. You're going to have banging into gears. That's what a lot of companies do. What I've done is we've reversed the software, and we've basically done it the proper way, done it the way the factory has done it. Basically, the more torque, the more clamp. The less torque, the less clamp. We've also disabled a bunch of functions in the transmission that will cause, give you an example. If the DL501 has a factory function, when you use the kickdown, it will slip the clutches intentionally to give you a good smooth downshift. And under a high horsepower car, this just roasts the clutches instantly. So a lot of times when people are like, I just did a kickdown and slipped the clutches and I never had that. Well, that's the function of the TCU. And we've figured out how to disable this. And we spent some time. So we figured out the ins and outs and the big issues and the small issues. So like I said, the DL501 is the problematic child, but if you take care of it, you'll be fine.
People are asking on the chat. I'm not sure if you can see it.
I see this.
If they can swap transmissions from DSG to a ZF, and what's the maximum torque on a ZF8?
Well, so there's the ZF8 torque, maximum torque is hard to say. I know Vancy's done a lot of high horsepower cars. I know he's up in the thousands, and he hasn't had any issues. I think the only issues that their guys are having are prop shaft and axle failures. But honestly, there's no I don't know anybody that's run really really high power. Like I said, it's trial and error till someone does it. We won't know. The DL501, I've got guys running, in the tens. We're pushing for the nines, and no one has slipped yet. Since they flashed my software, they've been holding down. So we won't know till someone breaks something or we find a common occurrence. But I don't want to sound like basically I don't know what I'm saying, or I'm telling you guys to test your transmissions. That's why we log these cars, and if we see something out of the ordinary, we're going to stop and try to figure out what's going on. So
can you swap the gearboxes? Is what people ask.
I am 90% sure they can be done. There's guys that swapped to manual. They've swapped between. There's some guys in Russia that I've read that swapped ZF8s into an S6. So I think it's all about coding. These transmissions have a mobilizer, so they need to be adapted with Otis. But there's ways around it. There's also even like third-party controllers that can control these transmissions. So I know these guys in Poland that write a controller. Basically, it's a standalone controller for the transmission. So I think there's ways around. I'm pretty sure it can be done. So I don't see any reason why it can't be done.
Have you seen a manual RS7 or S8, A8? Is there a thing?
There's somebody in the group that's running the what is it, a 90 or a Coupe Quattro with a 4-liter manual swap, and he had TS2s and he just swapped them back, I think, for RS7. I think his name was Brian. I've spoken to him a couple of times.
Damn.
And yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, I'm like, it's amazing what you can do with these cars. And like the D2 had the ZF5 and then the ZF6 on the D3 platform, and ZF8 now. What about the new S8 that is hybrid as well? What do you reckon is gonna happen there?
Till I get one in the shop or I get one going, there's nothing. I can't say anything without having, getting into it and started working on it. So I'm pretty excited. From the past experience from Audi and Volkswagen, it's just gotten better. 5 HP was okay, and then the 6 HP was a little better, and then it just got better. So they know what they're doing. These guys, factory, they're thinking about longevity, and so we'll go from there when they come out.
Okay, well, any other questions from people? I don't see anything else. Let me see. Questions? No, I don't see anything else. Wait.
No, Lionel said there's a Panamera Bentley SC. They do have, I did some research last night, actually. The Continental GT SVC or S or whatever it was had the 4-liter, pretty much the same engine. But I think DS1 is preliminary only working on the Audi platform right now.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's right. Well, Mikey, thank you so much. If you have anything else to add, I have pasted your page. Well, I guess they can check about everything there, right? It has all the info.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions or anything, they could always email me, message me. I try to get back as fast as I can to everybody. So we go from there, and then that's it. Thanks for having me on your show, and that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And well, we have a new week ahead of us, and let's find out what my car uses for a gearbox. I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, we'll sort it out. No worries.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much.
No problem. All right.
Later.
I'll talk to you. Bye.
Let me get everything out. I don't know, you guys like that? That was awesome, huh? Not only we got the DS1 makers, we got someone who tunes with DS1. So I think that was pretty cool. I don't know what you guys think. Same with Boosted Euro and Mirza. I was on the DS1 and was reading on it, and I was like, should I get just the DS1? And then I started reading posts, and like there were more tuners on the DS1 platform. I just think like I talked with Mirza first, and I had like stupid questions because I have no idea about how these cars are tuned, what these cars are doing, and he told me everything about it. And yeah, we ended up I ended up getting one of his. He has a bundle, so you get a DS1 and you get his tunes and the transmission tune as well. So there's a bundle, and I got this, and he was the one that sent me the DS1 plus the tunes and of course his time and everything else. So that was great. It's always great to put faces to the people behind those web pages, behind the products, behind like, you know, you see them and you know what you're talking about. On that note, I would I say let's talk about A8s, S8s. I guess it was nice that we spent the first hour with guests. Maybe sometime we'll do it again. We'll see how this goes. Maybe not, if you guys don't like it. So, as I was saying in the beginning, our groups are mostly focused on the A8 S8 platform, but the RS6, RS7, it's pretty much the same with different bodies and some differences. Let's see. So, later on I have one more guest about car detailing. I guess we'll go to it a bit later. Yep. I will start our conversation today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. But I will start with something that is very similar to what we're talking about, and that is diagnostics. Let me get that on out. And I hate this thing. Nope, it doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to work. I'll fix it. Yeah, that was my mistake. Well, it was YouTube's mistake about the time. I apologize for that, but it's being recorded, so you guys can see it whenever you want. You can play it back. I'm gonna make cues. So, on that note, let's talk about. Let me see. What's hand? What hand? What hand? This hand. Yep, diagnostic tools. There we go. So our cars, I think the D2 had OBD1 protocol, and then the D3 and the D4 had OBD2 protocols, but our cars are pretty much computers on wheels, like supercomputers on wheels, because when the D2 and the D3 was built, the CEO of Audi back then, he had a thing that he wanted everything double checked. So our cars ended up having a sensor checking something, and that something, then that sensor that was checking something was being checked by another sensor. So you could say our cars are very easily diagnosed with what's going on, and not only from a tuner's perspective, which is logs and all that we discussed with DS1 guys and Boosted Euro, but this is more about diagnosing problems with your cars and problems with what might be wrong with your car. So we have a lot of people coming on the forums and on the Facebook pages, and they say, so my car does this. Usual problem is that my car ran out of battery, or my car had an issue with displaying something on the dashboard. I don't know what it is, and like they will show us the message. Like the dashboard might say adaptive cruise control is not working, which okay, it's not working. Then you need to find out why it's not working, and that's where the diagnostics tools come into play. Now, diagnostics tools are tools like VCDS. So VCDS comes with a dongle, like similar to that, and you need a laptop probably. So you can hook it up and run the program with the dongle to see what's wrong with your car. In the beginning, VCDS was the only tool that was accessible by users to diagnose these cars. And then other companies came, like OBD11 and Carista, that offered the same thing, kinda, but they offered it with smartphone support and communication via Bluetooth. There is not a thing like use that or don't use the other. They do the same thing, and what we usually focus is diagnostics. So when people come, we say you need a diagnostics tool to tell us what's going on. You need to give me a code to help you with. Like, I'm sorry, but just because your car says the adaptive cruise control does not work, does not mean it's the radar in front. It could be many things, or ABS faults, or air suspension faults. Like, so I always say to our members, invest in getting a diagnostic tool. Always invest in that. Not only you are able to see what's going on in your car at any given moment, also when you go to the garage, you already know what to expect, kinda. The cheap solution, cheapest, would be an OBD11 or Carista. I think their price start about $40. But it's totally worth it because it's gonna save you a lot of money on the long ride. VCDS is about 300, and well, with VCDS you also get support and all that fuzz. So, and of course they were the first. So with VCDS you can diagnose all the modules of the car, which is great because our cars, like the D3, I think it had about 38 different modules. Different computers, if you want it that way. That in each module does a job and they keep their own errors. So a generic OBD thing is only gonna check your engine module. That's why you need something specifically for VAG. So what you need is to get one of those, and then we can help you. We can really help you with your issues. For example, the other day I was driving and I was coming home, so I have a BD11 in my car, and I checked and I saw that one of my engine mounts is giving me an error. So now I know Monday that I'm gonna go to the garage what to expect. You also can do codings with your cars. You can code different modules, which is also something pretty cool to customize your car. Codings can be various things. Like I can show you a list with VCDS mods. That's how they're called. They're called VCDS mods because VCDS was the first to do it. So let's find. Like an example would be this page. I just Googled it. I didn't do any research. I just Googled it and said, okay. So what you do with codings is you go into these modules that are programmed to do something and you change a bit their coding to do something else. So it's not like something like it's just customizing your car, let's say, or enabling features that normally Audi would ask you to pay a ton of money to do that. So, for example, a simple mode is enabling the lap timer on the D4 platform. So, they have built a lap timer on the cluster in front where the gauges are, and it's disabled on the S8, although it's enabled on the R6, R7. But because they're the same electronics, you can enable it on the S8 as well. So that is something you can do with a VCDS. Of course, you have to back up the coding before you change it. So don't do changes without backing up what it was from the factory. Yeah, Carista can do it. Like, I see the chat that people are talking about it. Yeah. It doesn't really matter what you guys choose. They pretty much do this. I have not had an experience with Carista. I guess it's similar to OBD11 or VCDS. Also, like other codes is like on the D3, you could, and a D4, you can change the air suspension default height. And I will actually paste a video of my friend Ryan that has done it from Auto Detour. Let's say height. So what you do is you can code the vehicle to sit lower and have a bit of a stance. I'll paste you the link to his video if you don't know Ryan. He's also a moderator in our group. So with VCDS you can, for example, go and do adaptations on the vehicle, which is go and tell to the vehicle, for example, the air suspension. You just say to the air suspension that the car is higher, so please lower it. So in the end, you get the result of a lowered car. You can do that, and I think it's great, because why not customize your car if you can with a tool that costed $50 or even $300? I think for an A8 S8 owner, that's not much for a tool that will benefit you in the long run. Furthermore, you can also see what's going on with your car. For example, again, air suspension, the D3, the air compressor would work too much, and then it would overheat, and then the air suspension would not work, and you'd be like, why it doesn't work? So you have to go with the CDS and access the air suspension module and go find what's the temperature on my air compressor. You can do a lot of things with it. So I always urge everyone, like, they come on the Facebook and they ask why this doesn't work. I don't know. I really don't know. I need you to diagnose it and give me a code. I have an example of a code to show you. That is, if I find it from today, it would be nice to show you how it shows codes. I think I have it on my email. I will show you how it shows codes on the, how you call it? On OBD11. It's the same principle. I just want to show you like how it logs things. There we go. Ooh, damn. So that's pretty much, I don't know if it's like viewed correctly. Can you see, guys, see the text? So this is a typical fault. It's a common fault on the D4 platform. That's what I googled around and saw. So what it does is, this is the OBD11 giving us a code about the assembly mounting, which is the engine mount, on the D4. And what it says is actually, it's asking for money. That's what it does. So on the D4 platform, they introduced cylinder on demand, which turns off the cylinder, it turns off 4 cylinders out of 8 in order to save fuel. but when the engine enters on 4 cylinders, the vibrations change. So they used hydraulic engine mounts to counterbalance that, which is great, but overly complicated. So this just tells us that one of these hydraulic motors are not working anymore. So you have to change them or see what's going on in a garage. Usually they would leak oil as well. But the point here is that a tool like that can give you specifically what is wrong with your car, which is great. Like, there is no searching around what happened, why is that. You just go directly there and you fix it. And it's also, like, for mechanics, it saves time. Moving on, since we talked about the air suspension. Air suspension is something great that our cars have, and it's the worst thing it can have when it doesn't work correctly. Everybody had those issues in some way or another in the D3 platform. So the air suspension group practically is on the D2 as well. Oh, sorry, I just read the chat that the D2 had also hydraulic engine mounts. I didn't know that. Jing, one day I have to have you here as a guest. You know so many things, man. Like, I'm impressed. So I'm gonna show you the air suspension of a D3. So that's it, pretty much, the whole thing. And on this thing that they built, many things can go wrong, and you will not be able to figure out what goes wrong until you diagnose your car and see what's wrong. And trust me, garages will not take the time to figure it out. They will just take a ton of labor hours to try to pinpoint it, and maybe even then it's not gonna be the issue. So what we have is that we have a compressor that takes ambient air. We have a tank, or like a reservoir tank. We have lines, and we have a controller, and then we have the strut arms with the air suspension. Everything on this circuit can go wrong. What do I mean? The air compressor has a piston that moves inside, and it's plastic, last I remember, and has a rubber ring around it to seal. So the piston moves around the cylinder, and usually what happens is after years it just gets worn out, and you probably need to, Audi will tell you need to replace the whole unit. Although they are service kits that you can use in order to fix that. Oops, that was wrong. Apologies, that's what I want to do. There we go, that's better. So my right is your right. Let me see. That's better. So you can get service kits for your air compressor, take it out and change the ring, and your air compressor will be as good as new. It's very rare that the air compressor itself, its motor, is gonna go bad. Usually it's the piston ring that warms out. So the air compressor will burn out, or maybe after years it will be bad. So that's what you need to do. The other reason that your air suspension goes bad is having leaks. Leaks can happen on the struts and on the lines, and it will cause the air compressor to work more and overheat. So you open more problems as you try to fix the problem. For the air struts, there is nothing much you can do. You have to replace them. They're a bit pricey. I don't know now if they're a bit lower on price, but I think they're pricey. They also have a solenoid valve block. I don't know if you can see the text. It's behind the wheel. So that's what controls which valves, which lines get air, and in the end which struts. This can go bad, but with VCDS will for sure show you that this sensor is going bad. VCDS will also let you know that you have also a leak. It will say leak detected. So you are pretty much aware that you have a leak and you need to investigate. The best way to find leaks is actually put your car on the lift mode or raise for the D4, and then go and enable air wheel chains for the D4 and jack mode for the D3, and leave it overnight, and next day go and see which of the 4 struts is lower. If you're uncertain, you can always take a measurement from the center hub of the wheel to your fender, and then in the morning just measure again this distance. Usually it's about 35, 39 centimeters, depending on your wheels and your tires and the default height of the vehicle. The A8 is a bit more higher than the S8s on default. So just measure all 4 sides in the night, and then next morning just go see which side is lower. That will help you pinpoint from where are you missing air. I will also show you the D4 system. They made some changes apart from the better graphics on designing. On the D4, they put the air compressor in the back, in the trunk, and the also the pressure reservoir is in the back. That's the most change they did. The rest of the system is pretty much the same. D4 has less problems than D3. I know that for sure. So yeah, but I think they learned a lot from the D3 platform that air suspension is not an easy thing about it. So they fixed a lot of stuff. Let me... Oh God, I removed myself. I need a person to do this for me. Like, I cannot do all these things together. Let me see. Yep, there we are. Yep. And apologies for the black screen. The camera refuses to come on. I think Skype has to do that. Okay, we lost the camera apparently. Let me see. Yep, we lost the camera. How did that happen? Can you guys still hear me, I guess? Yeah, you can. So we didn't lose the camera, we lost only the capture. Let me bring it on top. Nope. Nope, my dog did not take it. But give me a second, I'll get back to it. I'm really sorry about this. No, that's the capture. Wait, what? How did the capture have my screen? Oh, there I am. Let's see if I can use that. There I am. Back again. Apologies. Another issue we hear about is the wind deflector motor. The wind deflector is... so when you open the sunroof, you'll notice there's a bit of a plastic part coming up from the front side. That's what a wind deflector is. What it does is at 30 kilometers about, it raises up so it can like force the wind up, so you get less noise in the cabin. In order to do this movement, it uses a motor which sits on top there. That's the motor. So this motor sits right there, and it usually goes bad after years, so it needs to be replaced. The motor itself, you can find it used about 70 bucks. That's how much I got it. And you can easily replace it yourself, because all you have to do is take the lights out, which is an easy thing to do, and just plug that bad boy back there, remove the old one, and you're set. No more noise. You'll notice the noise for sure. When it goes bad, you can really hear it going bad. Yeah, that's the wind deflector thing. I don't know if anyone like had it. I did. I hear about it. Let's see if I can get the next issue. There we go. So carbon buildup on FSI engines is our next issue we're gonna discuss. So what happens is that all FSI engines have carbon buildup on their intakes. I can show you actually that how it looks. It's a really something you cannot like. There we go. Carbon buildup. Let's say S8 D3. Very, very common. So when we discuss about carbon buildup, we're talking about this black smudge around the intakes. It's better shown here. All FSI engines have this issue. No matter what, they do have it, and it needs to properly be cleaned and look like this. So it's a job that costs a lot. It also costs a lot of time and everything. But what you need to do is remove the intake of the S8 D3. So that's the intake of the S8 as shown here. It's the white stuff. The 4.2 has something similar. There is the 4.2. All of these engines have the same issue, no matter what. After years, it starts building carbon, so you lose a lot of power and you waste a lot of fuel. So the only solution is to open it and clean it. This can be done by blasting. It's not your, it's not a DUI job. I wouldn't describe it as a DUI job. And I think it's better to do in a garage. It's gonna be costly for sure, but definitely not an issue to do you on your own. But for sure you have to do it because you're losing not only performance, you also have higher consumption on your engine. On that note, the intakes on the S8 and I think on the 4.2 D3 platform were also really bad because they designed it to be plastic. It has intakes, so the intake has some flaps inside it, and they thought, let's build these flaps plastic. And guess what? They break after years and years and years. And then either the plastic part of the intake is gonna end up on your intake valve and do a serious damage, or they're gonna just break. They will give an error and with a check engine light on the S8, I remember that, and they will say that the intake bank 1 or 2 is always open, always closed, or it will give an error. You'll see it. You cannot avoid it. Well, what you do is you need to open it and either break and remove the flaps. I can show you the flaps actually, intake flaps. We saw them back earlier, but I can show them to you again. Intake flaps S8 D3. I always refer to the S8 because it's something that I had and I know it very well by now, but I'm sure the 4.2 had a similar issue. Move to top. There we go. Flap. There they are. So these plastic fuckers are the reason for all the problems. They break either in the middle where their axle is, or they break from where they get. Let me find where they get motorized. No, this is a bad picture. This is better. So let me see if I can get it big. It's a YouTube video. Damn it. No, we don't want a YouTube video right now. I should have been ready, but that's the motor, yeah. These are the plastic flaps. You cannot find the plastic flaps. They do not sell the plastic flaps to remove them. They only sell the whole intake, which costs 2.5 grand and probably 3 grand. Oh, there's a picture. Probably 3 grand with labor. So in front, the intake has those metal arms that give motion to the flaps. So they will either break where they take motion right here, or they will break inside. So you just open it and remove them, and you lose a bit of torque, but yeah, otherwise you have to pay. I removed them and my S8 was fine. I didn't notice big difference to it, but yeah. No, you do not have to remove the engine from the to clean the intake. That's not a the 4. But the turbo FSI does not have that issue because it's a pressurized intake. I don't think they have issues with the because they're turbocharged, so there is always pressure there. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, on the S8, yeah, really? Didn't know that. But maybe. I have not checked mine for, like, even if you have carbon buildup on the turbo engine, will it matter that much? After all, you just pressurize the air, so no matter, you're not gonna lose much. Only if, like, the pieces, like, get unstuck and get in an intake valve. I have never done. I don't know about I never heard anyone saying about the D4 S8, but maybe it's a thing. I don't know. Although on the D4 platform, another thing that is and the D3 and the D2, I guess, well, intakes. About intakes, I see a lot of intakes on the internet that are all hot air intakes. So most of them just suck warm air from the engine bay and throw it in the engine. I think the stock OM airbox does a great job sucking air from outside. I don't think it's that restrictive, to be better put. So for people that ask us about should I get an intake, should not, I think it's better not, and just keep the OM intakes, especially on the S8 where you do need the air to be cold. Yeah, that's about the intakes, nothing else there. At this point, I would like to tackle another issue. I will about washing our cars and how to do proper maintenance to our cars. I see that people are asking about that their paints are going bad, especially on the D4 platform. The paint can go really bad from the factory. I think they're really messed up with the paints. On the D4, the D3 was way better paint. I know that for sure. Even though I have a black D4, so everything is visible. And on my D3 it was Daytona gray, so you wouldn't see that much. So I think the D4 was bad. So I'm gonna invite a professional to explain how to do proper maintenance to our paints. His name is George, and he also has a company in UK. That is the name is iLike Auto Detailing. I will invite him now to join us. Let me see if I can get this right this time. Let's get him on. Hello, George. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Welcome. Let me first put you on the stream. let's see. Is that you?
That should be me, hopefully.
There you are. Yep. So I would like to welcome George. Can you please talk a bit, see if we have the sound right?
Yeah, can you hear me well?
I hear you perfect. I'm waiting for someone
Hi,
to
everyone.
reply on the chat and let us know if your sound comes good.
Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me well?
Yeah, they say it's perfect. So please tell us how we should detail our cars, and not only A8 S8s, but I guess it applies to all cars. But let's focus on our platform.
Yeah.
I'll give it up to you.
Right, well, just to give a few words about myself. My name's George, I'm 30 years of age. Similar to the guys that did the car tuning before me, I had a bit of a turn with career change. I went from compliance, health and safety to detailing cars, obviously. It's been about 4 years now. I've been doing this sort of like detailing on the side or just as a hobby, if you wish, for the last 3 years, essentially. And then I started a business about a year and a half ago. When we discussed with Gas what sort of things we should be sharing or discussing on this live feed, I thought I might just break it down into two separate things. So the first one would be just to talk about general car care, how you should be looking after your vehicles, essentially, and then just busting a few myths, if I can call it that. Just some things that I keep seeing. I think it's very important that a few things that I keep seeing on the forums that we're members of, whether it's the A8, S8, or the modified, or the 4-liter ones. I keep seeing certain topics that sort of repeat themselves, and I think it might be a good idea just to touch on them. I'm happy, whilst we've got this chat going live as well, any questions you have, you're more than welcome just to type them in, and I'll try and answer. If I can't give you an answer straight away, then I'll take a note and maybe come back to you later, or feel free to email me. I see Gas has put on my links, Instagram, Facebook. So yeah, if I can just start with this. Obviously, all of you guys, you drive good looking expensive cars. You wouldn't ideally, in an ideal world, I know sometimes you have to, but you wouldn't take your car to one of those cheap car washers that wash it for like 10-15 pounds. I'm not saying it because I've got an interest in this. Some of you are not even in the UK, essentially. I myself used to have an A8. That's how I'm a member of these groups, and that's how I know most of the admins and the people in them. But if I can just start with maybe suggesting avoid car washes, cheap car washes, or in general going to those coin-operated car washes, unless you absolutely have to. Not because on the non-assisted ones you can't wash them yourselves. You probably can. Some of you are probably quite good at looking after your cars, but it's because of the chemicals that both of these employ to actually clean your cars. So essentially, you're looking at either acidic or too alkaline of chemicals being used to help sort of create that cleaning effect as quick and as easy as possible, essentially. When we're talking about attended car wash, where you pay a couple of guys to just come in with a bucket and spray your car with TFR, for example, or acidic solution on your alloys, just to get it, as quick as clean as possible. It's the chemicals that they use that are really aggressive, especially on the D3 and D4s, where they've got the chrome surroundings around your window trim. Because when these react or they stay too long on the actual surface, they react with the aluminium that's on there. It goes underneath the lacquer coating of those trims and it stains. So when we've been talking before in the forum about milky trims, like the white stains that you get on the aluminium trims, that's because of the chemicals that have been used and they've sat on there for too long. They've reacted with the bare aluminium, and that's why you've got milky trims at the moment. So you need to replace them. Ideally, wrap them or replace them. Yeah, especially ceramic brakes as well. You need to be really careful how you clean those. On the S8s, where you got carbon ceramics, those are really particular when they need to be cleaned. So if someone was to use iron fallout on them, not really advisable, so not great. So you need to know, if you're driving an expensive car like an S8, with all the bells and whistles, you know, the ceramic brakes and all that. You need to make sure that you have someone looking after your vehicle. Then if we were to talk about the way they wash the car, so putting chemicals aside, we're talking about the fact that the methodology of how people wash your car, realistically, they grab a sponge from a bucket and they drag the dirt all over the car from bottom to top without even thinking about, you know, this is going to induce some swirling or some paint defects and all that stuff. So that's one of the things that this is where you differentiate between the car enthusiast and a person who just wants to have a car clean, essentially. If we were to talk about the non-attended car washes in that sense, the reason why you get the hot shampoo in most of them is because they would use a TFR solution, which would be a heated one, essentially. That helps sort of break out the dirt as well. But again, TFR would be a bit dangerous to your paintwork, essentially, and the exposed aluminium bits on your vehicle. Then looking at the brushes that dispense the shampoo and the shampooing liquid, the whole idea when you're washing your car with a shampoo is not because it cleans or disinfects your surface of the vehicle. In essence, it's to create lubrication. It's to allow you successfully to sort of drag away the dirt by encapsulating it, lubricating the surface, so minimizing essentially the defects that you're going to induce into the paintwork. So I would at all costs avoid you yourselves using the brush on those self-served car washes, basically, because they've got, imagine how many people have gone and used that brush before you, and imagine all the dirt that's still attached to that brush. That obviously will get dragged across your paintwork, and you will get swirls, holograms, paint marring, all the defects that you can imagine. I think in general, if everyone that sort of likes to look after their vehicles would have heard, essentially, if you're the type of weekend warriors, as we call them, you would have heard of safe ways of washing your vehicle. There's all types of pre-washes that you can use. There's the citrus pre-wash that you can have. Then you've got snow foaming, for example, you know, to have that nice white effect on your vehicle during the summer. It's just to help to sort of lift the dirt away from the body of the chassis of the car, and then allow you to rinse off majority of it. So then when you're shampooing, essentially as a second step, you're using that lubrication that I mentioned earlier. So you're removing completely most of the dirt, or if not all of the dirt, essentially from the surface of the vehicle. If we were to sort of discuss some of the myths, like I said, like on a second point, some of the myths that I've seen in groups that people keep asking about or mentioning or sharing even. First and foremost, my favorite one is that the clay bar will remove scratches, or I just clay barred my car this week and I'm going to do it next month. It's great. Clay bars are really good, depending, I mean, regardless if it's a clay bar or a clay mitt that you're using. However, keep in mind that you are inducing paint defects as soon as that clay bar touches the car, regardless if you're lubricating with a special spray, a quick detailer, or water or shampoo. It is a type of abrasive. Yes, it's not the type of abrasive that you get in polishes and compounds with machine polishing, but it will scratch and mar your paint. And then once the sun hits, direct sunlight hits your bodywork, it will show. It will definitely show. So clay barring is only meant to be done, and please remember this, if you're planning to correct the paintwork of your car. So if you're doing machine polishing after clay bar, perfect, great, that helps a million to do a proper decontamination. I would always do a full chemical decontamination before you do a clay bar. So I'm talking about iron fallout removal, and then I do tar removal, and then anything remaining on the car body, anything that's sort of on this around the door seals, you know, at the bottom bits of your vehicle where it's mostly tar encapsulated, I would use a clay bar at that stage, but only because I know that I'm going to be paint correcting afterwards. So clay barring, please don't do it once every month or once every 3 months. Do it if you have the ability, or if you're having someone do paint correction on your car. Then the second one that I really love is, once I protect my car, I've had my car ceramic coated for 5, 10, 12 years. It's going to be safe. Car paint will be, perfect. No, I mean, unfortunately, even if, regardless of what YouTuber you follow, whatever you get told that it's going to be bulletproof, it isn't. Ceramic coatings and the likes of those, PPF, yes, they are there to protect. They will minimize, they will prolong the time where you would have to have that paint correction done. But ultimately, everything that touches your paintwork is considered abrasive. Even if some of you are into detailing and they would follow Ammo NYC, he even suggests that your fingertips are considered abrasives. So you're basically looking at anything that touches your paintwork is considered abrasive and will damage, it will mar your paintwork. Obviously, I'm talking extremes here, but at the end of the day, nothing will ever protect your car from being scratched completely. So there's always that risk of going through branches or really sort of tight roads and something touches your car. It will minimalistically, but it still will drag through your paintwork. It will scratch it. Even on some, like for example, I use G-Technic. G-Technic themselves, for example, suggests that even though the hardness of the ceramic coating they put on your surface does increase the hardness of the paintwork, it still doesn't make it immune to scratches. So please keep that in mind. The other thing is, once your car's been paint corrected and it's all swirl free and all that stuff, how do you maintain it? How do you keep it all safe and perfect? Again, unfortunately, you cannot have it perfect forever. It is the nature of what clear coat is. It's how paint works, whether it's a single stage paint, whether it's modern paint that has the regular paint and the clear coat on top of it, it will sooner or later scratch. But it's down to the owner of the vehicle and the way he sort of treats that vehicle that actually prolongs and sort of extends that period of when you will be faced with the paint correction, if you are into your vehicle to that extent that you want it all perfect and gleaming. Another thing that I love that I've noticed there a lot is obviously a lot of you guys that like to look after your vehicles and are sort of those enthusiasts that really want to do the work themselves. We're talking that you would go out and ask a question on a detailing forum and you'd say, oh, what kind of polisher should I get? Or what's good value for money, essentially. First off, I'd suggest if you really want to try out and do your own paint correction and do like a single stage polish if you wish, I would suggest going, because there's ultimately on the market at the moment, there's 3 types of sheets that you can get. You're looking at rotary, which is the old style, which spins in one direction only. And then you're looking at direct drive and DA polishers, which the dual action polishers are the most go-to essentially for weekend warriors. Because with them, you can do minimum damage to your paintwork. And essentially you could do a really good correction yourself. So I would avoid rotary or rotational ones, and I'd go for dual action for DA polishers, definitely, if you'd like to try it yourself. Only because one thing I'd like to mention is, if some of you have noticed on detailing forums or someone posting a picture of his car, and you're kind of looking at the car through direct sunlight, and you move left to right, and you can see the paintwork sort of dancing a bit, like it changes a bit. That is because it's got either marring or holograms. So essentially, the holograms, in this sense, going back to rotary, is why you should avoid the rotary machine in the first place, because compounding with a rotary will definitely 100% leave paint marring and holograms on the paint surface, which is what you want to avoid in the first place. So DA or dual action machine polishers are the ones to get if you'd like to maintain the car yourself. Then the next big one is, I've waxed my car, I've glazed my car, I've used a sealant on my car. So which one is which? What's the correct order? How should I do it and all that? So if we were to start looking at one by one, glazes first. You put glazes first. After you've paint corrected or you've done a minor paint correction, single stage paint correction, you're looking at glazing. That's only if you want to do it, obviously. And we're talking if you're not doing car ceramics. If you're doing car ceramics, waxes, sealants, and glazes are out of the question. So we're not talking about that. We're just talking glazes, sealants, waxes. Glazes normally contain fillers, silicons. So when you do a single stage, a small correction, essentially, when you put a glaze over it, it kind of helps make the surface a bit glossier, but it also fills in those minor defects that are left on the paintwork, so it helps bring up the paintwork a bit more. So you've got less defects on the paint surface, on the clear coat, and essentially that means that the light hitting the paintwork would actually show a deeper color, so a nicer, clearer finish, as opposed to it before it being corrected. So glazes essentially do make the car look better, and majority of them would have fillers in them to sort of fill in minor defects that are left behind. Sealants, on the other hand, you're looking at, they're mostly man-made, so compared to waxes where you've got organic carnauba waxes, for example. Sealants are essentially used to seal the glazes, so you're kind of looking at protecting the effect that you've already applied with the glaze. And then obviously waxes at the end of it. Waxes are just a bit that more durable than sealants. So you're looking at glaze, sealant, wax to seal all these effects, all these enhancements of your paintwork to make it nice, shiny, glossy, hydrophobic. Water's beading across the surface. It's sheeting off really nicely, and it's easy to clean the car, essentially. The only problem with these is that they've only got up to 6 months, most of them, up to between 3 and 6 months of use or of being actually active on your paintwork. So in that sense, continuity of the effect of them is not that great if you're looking to protect your car long term. So, which obviously brings us to the next one, which is ceramic coatings, which is the big one at the moment. It's what Gas had on his A8 on his S8 a couple of months back. Obviously, you're looking at improved durability. So we're talking years, not months. We're talking 2 to 5 to 7, depending on who's putting the ceramic coating on for you. You're looking at different grade ceramics. You can have ceramic coatings from 12 months up to, I think, 9 or 10 years, depending on the hardness or on the actual application of it, the way it cures on the paintwork. I particularly myself work with G-Technic. I've been trained by G-Technic. I've been trained by Rupus. So in essence, those two companies work for me. You don't have to use those if you want to use them, because they've got a semi-pro series as well. And they are really sort of, in my opinion, they are really user-friendly, especially Crystal Serum Light, C1, Liquid Crystal C2, that they're really good things to use and to have, essentially. They are a bit expensive compared to other brands, but at the end of the day, I think in detailing, you get what you pay for. So you cannot save money when we're talking about detailing your vehicle. It's a matter of, you're going to do it once, you're going to do it wrong, you will have to redo it, and it will be, if not more expensive than the first time. So essentially, when you're spending money, make sure that you're actually doing it for the right reasons. So you're not just wanting to do it because you want to do it the proper way. So
George,
ceramic coatings, yeah.
There are some questions on the chat. Let's tackle those as well.
Go for it, yeah, of course.
So I have Lionel asking about snow and salt in winter. Is there any different products that you can use about that?
I would suggest on the if I start from the beginning, so on the pre-wash, I would say citrus is a really nice pre-wash to be used in the winter months. So in the colder months, citrus really does a good trick. And then when we're talking about the snow foam to follow after the citrus pre-wash, I'd say there's a couple of citrus-infused snow foams on the market that they could use. So it actually helps break down the salts as well, the road grime and the salts a bit better. So as opposed to summer months where you're looking at contact time because of the hot weather, because of the sun hitting the paint directly, obviously during the colder months, that's not an issue. So you're not worried about how long it's going to stay on the paint to allow you to wash or, not dry on the paintwork, essentially. We're talking about the effect. So we're looking at an more effective cleaning, essentially, of the paintwork. So I'd say make sure that you go for something that is citrus infused. It really helps. That's like a little trick of mine that I found out, essentially, through detailing.
And Tony, he says that he has vinyl wrap. Oh, that's amazing color that he has.
Yes, the orange one.
Yeah, not orange.
Yeah.
It's orange is a big word. It's not orange. It's something different. But anyhow, he says that he's not impressed with it so far.
Yeah.
And he gets exhaust stains. on the rear, and the car doesn't clean as well as he expected because of the wrap.
Has he had anything done to the wrap? Has he had it covered with something? Does he say?
He doesn't say, but there is a bit of a delay. I guess he's gonna answer. But I think you
Yeah.
can treat wraps as well. You can do stuff with the wraps.
Now, as far as I'm aware, G-Technic stuff normally does a couple of coatings that actually are really good with wraps. Like, for example, they've got a coating that's called Halo, which is specifically designed for vinyl wrapping and for paint, for PPF protected surfaces. However, Exo V4 and C1 and C2, they're really good as well for these. So looking at what he can combine, I'd say try and go with Halo, definitely. Halo is a really good product, and then top it up with Exo V4. I think that would be a really good combination, essentially.
I think because like we're getting technical, I think it would be best if we like make a standalone video or maybe like a post about it.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, I'll be happy. That's
but of
absolutely
course
fine.
for UK,
I'll explain it really shortly. I mean, it's basically for car paint, so for painted surfaces, for lacquer covered surfaces, essentially, you have ceramic coatings such as Crystal Serum Light, for example. Whereas vinyl wraps being a bit different as a surface to work on, G-Technic have developed a specific coating that goes on top of vinyl wraps, which is called Halo. And it's really, really good.
okay. Of course, for UK-based members, you can offer your services in what area and how far you can go for your services.
I've had customers up in Nottingham, to be honest. I've just done a Golf R down in Maidstone, for example. So it really depends what the customer's looking for, and essentially how far he wants to go with it. Of course, I've got a unit as well, so they can bring the cars to me. They can stay for a couple of days. I'd like to be able to work on a car a bit longer. I don't like to rush things or work and say I'll do it the same day, or only because you're looking at, in ceramic coating cases, for example, you're looking at cure time as well for the ceramics. So I'm happy to travel in that sense. I'm asking the question, but it really depends on the job.
Where
It
are
really
you
depends.
exactly based, though? That's what
I'm based in Bournemouth in Poole, so that's southwest of England. Dorset area, if that makes it easier for people to.
Okay, and I guess for the members that are not close, I guess we can make a post or something that could help them. Of course,
Sure, by all means.
of course, it's better, like from my perspective, it's always better to trust a detailer to do this job rather do it yourself, because I've seen how they detailed my car, and it was like 5 days or 6 days, and
Yeah.
there were like things I would never expect to happen during these days, and they explained it to me like why and how, and like it's always best to go to a detailer that does this for a living rather doing it yourself as a weekend warrior.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm always going to recommend get your car detailed professionally. It doesn't have to be myself, but in general, it's what we do. It is why we got into this. I mean, I left a full-time job, a secure, good job for this because it was my hobby, it was my passion. So I found it to be really sort of my thing, essentially, and I like to do a good job. So in that sense, if you are the type of person like me and you like a good job, you know how hard it would be to do that. I mean, back in the day, I couldn't machine polish, to be honest, so it was really difficult. And I did go out and find someone to do it for me back then. Unfortunately, did I know that he was doing it with a rotary machine? But I found out years later. So it is what it is.
Okay,
You learn.
George. Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or we're good?
No, I'm all good. I mean, if any questions, just you've got my details at the bottom. Follow my Instagram page. It'll be a lot of help. Drop me an email if you've got any questions. Give me a call. I'm more than happy to help.
Okay, thank you, George. I guess I'll catch up with you later.
Yep.
Thank you for the time, man. Really.
Anytime.
Let me get things back in order. We don't need this, and we don't need this, and you need me. There we are. So, yeah. I mean, like crazy stuff, huh? But damn, we're almost at 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'd never thought it would take that long. I guess we need to split these sessions or something. I'm sure like people cannot follow up for 3 hours a stream. I know that I don't. But thank you, George, for everything. You get his details. I already put his webpage on our live chat. So, and yeah, you can always contact him there. It has all the information you need. For me, like, if I go to UK with some planning, because I have, well, many members from there, I would like to like go and do stuff in the car. Why not? I strongly recommend ceramic coatings or glass coatings, whatever it's called. I did mine and I'm very happy about it because everything is just easier, you know, like everything. Washing it, cleaning it, maintaining it, and it just shines so good. And I have a black car. Black cars suck in general. I'm gonna go back to our issues. I have to cut them some short. So I'm gonna jump directly to the MMI issues. So MMI are the units that our cars have. Let me grab it. Good old MMI. So this is a 3GP model of MMI that was used in the latest cars. So cars after 2008 have these units. Cars before 2008 used to have the MMI 3G. No, sorry. 3G was a unit from MMI 3G was a unit from 2008 till 2010 to 12. And then it got upgraded to 3G Plus, that is found on the D4 platform of our cars. The D3 had the MMI 2G in the beginning, and then in 2008 it was upgraded to 3G. Well, in terms of multimedia, it's not like the greatest, it's not the worst, it's okay. So what happens with those units? They have a firmware and they have a map on it. And what we care about is upgrading those units and updating them. So I see a lot of posts in our forums from people that want to take advantage of members that are not familiar with how the update is done. So they're promising the members that they're selling genuine original maps. There is no such a thing as maps that are not original or firmware that is not original. What matters here is the activation. So the activation can only be done from Audi, or if you download it from a webpage, which you can find for free. They have an activator that activates. Really? Apologies. Nuki, get out. Out. Not now. Not now. Let's go. Bench. Go to your bench. Good boy. Things that happen on live streams, huh? Sorry, the dog was being playful. Oh, stop laughing. So anyway, back to the MMI. So don't be fooled by people that are trying to sell genuine products for firmware updates. They all just go and download it from web pages, and then they try to sell it to you just to make a profit. What I suggest is you can go to Audi and upgrade them, and that's gonna cost like maybe 200 euros, maybe more, I don't know. Or you can, if you get a bit technical, you can do it yourself, and that's what I did. For example, it's not a difficult procedure. It does require some technical skills, but it can be done. So you can download the files from gpspower.net, for example, and then you need SD cards like these ones, and the SD cards are just basic SD cards. They have to be 32 gigabytes to fit the maps. So the procedure is as is. You update the firmware, and then you update the maps, and then in the end you have to do the activator for the maps. The instructions are very clear in general. There is a lot of instructions on how to do it and walkthroughs. You do need a battery charger for sure, because it's a procedure that might take up to 3 hours with the MMI on, so your battery is not gonna hold that. So you do need a battery charger connected to your car. When you charge your battery, always connect the minus to the pole on the car, never on the battery. People get it wrong sometimes. Also with the MMI unit, you have to enable the green menu. You can enable some stuff there. The green menu is a developer menu for the MMI unit. You need to enable it with VCDS or OBD11. Nowadays there are scripts that you just put in an SD card. You put the SD card in, they auto run, and they enable this option. You do need the green menu for maybe put your battery level on, or do the firmware updates. So I suggest having it. Also on the MMI front, the screen cogs of the MMI screen that come up, they all are plastic and useless. So when they break, you have to take the whole console apart, take the whole thing out, and replace the cogs. Cogs now, they can be found on the internet, and they're metal. So once you do it, it's done, and that's it. So if you ever have like issues with noise from the MMI coming up, that's what it is. What else to say about the MMI? We always get questions about the AirPlay and Android CarPlay or Apple CarPlay, whatever. It can be done. There's this unit called RSNav that kind of is like an OM solution. Well, OM feel. It's not OM by any. It's not from Audi, but like it promises that it works really great. I don't use it myself, so I cannot like say if it is or not. What I know is that I have a Chromecast on my TV tuner, and I just send everything to the Chromecast, and that's how I do it. It was easier, and I didn't have to take the whole thing apart. What else about the MMI? Nothing else really. We can go into detail about MMI and stuff you can do about, stuff that can go wrong, but I think like we're on this stream for like 2.5 hours, so I think we have to do another one, because there's so many things I can talk about, so many things that just like come up as we discuss all together. Another thing I suggest for cars is for you guys to get dash cams. Well, dash cams is for insurance standpoint something that you should have, but also for security of the car. I highly suggest having one, because you never know when you're gonna need one. In some countries they force you to do a dash cam. On others, insurance companies ask you to have them. I have it because I go to Autobahn, and it's always fun to record Dutch guys that just come into the left lane, and then you have to brake from 250 down to 100. So it's always fun to have a dash cam on your car. So I highly suggest you guys to have a dash cam on your cars. On that note, I think we should end this stream, because it's getting longer and longer, and I think I'm getting you all guys tired. We definitely should do one with like split it, because I like the more I do this, the more content I think, and like it's gonna like be taking hours and hours talking, and I think this is getting tiresome. So we will see with the rest of the admins and the groups what we can do about. I will this video will be available after we finish, and I'm gonna make queues so you guys can like jump to the whatever part interests you. I think we got great people on with us. I would like to thank them again. The guys from Dyno Spectrum, thank you for coming to the stream. Boosted Euro, Mikey, great to have someone that works on our cars. And of course George with the detailing tips. We will try to do something more in depth with them and spend the time. Thank you everyone for joining. I don't know how many viewers we had. The thing will like at some point it said 30. I don't know if that thing counts properly. Thank you all. Stay safe, stay home, and I wish you all good night. And you can always find me on the groups and text me. Yeah, have a good night, guys.